Hey, what's up guys, this is Liam Weagle on your Overwatch, back with a new video today. I am back, I'm covering for Eddie today. Unfortunately, he's feeling a little bit under the weather, but he's come up with a really new cool hero concept that I wanted to talk about today. Some ideas from ourselves, some kind of informed by what developers have said, and also some really good suggestions from you guys. Of course, not all of these ideas are going to be entirely balanced and damage numbers may vary, but if you had any suggestions of yourselves or adaptations on what's in this video, be sure to let us know in the comment section down below. So Jeff Goodman recently said on Reinforce's stream that a lot of fans of the game seem to want more tanks and healers, and basically said that that is what they're working on. With this in mind, we were thinking about what would really fit in the game, and we decided that maybe the game could use another healer or support that synergizes directly more with DPS and counters some comps that have been in the meta for a long time, as well as some heavier compositions, maybe goats or some regular triple tank setups as well. Currently, there is very little counterplay for armor in the game except for Torbjorn's ult, which isn't really enough. And even this week, Seagull had the idea of giving armor penetration to Reaper's shotguns, but giving that just to one hero is going to lead to other results you don't want. Like if someone has armor on the other team or goats again, you always need a Reaper, which is not really the kind of counterplay people want from Overwatch. So we have a cool scout engineer support that we think could work really well, and I would love to see some of these ideas implemented in certain ways. This would be a very defensive keep away kind of character. Now, I've always said that we don't need more defense heroes, but this one would probably fit under them old categories that we used to bash on all the time. The first ability we would want a spotter to have would be a mark ability. Now, this mark ability could come in certain forms, but effectively we would like to be able to mark certain characters to make them weaker to current DPS that maybe aren't very effective against armor. Now, not all of these ideas are specifically to go against Brigitte or tanks, but we think this idea could work well. If you used to target people with your goggles as they were coming up through a choke point, for example, you've got a big bunch of HP and armor everywhere and rally walking towards you. Maybe when you target someone on the enemy team, and you could target multiple people, their armor would effectively become HP, maybe over a couple of seconds or something, but basically to make way more damage sources viable. There are so many in the game right now that struggle against all of this armor, which is one of the reasons the GOATS has been really good, and we think giving other characters the option to be able to deal damage to them in certain contexts would be really good. You got to think as well that maybe if they're trying to come up the Dorado choke into your defense, having this character sitting at the back would be really powerful. But there's also a lot of points on the map where you wouldn't have that range, so that goats or heavy tank compositions would still be viable. So your character's primary job would be to mark targets for your team, and of course the counterplay to this for the enemies would be to be able to break line of sight or avoid lines of sight, which also opens up this character's weaknesses, which would be dive composition and multiple angles of attack. You wouldn't be able to target everything effectively. They'd keep breaking the line of sight, so they would get their armor back. So they'd be counterplay in all kinds of directions. And what this does is some heroes that might be giving you grief, say D.Va, she suddenly becomes an ult battery like Roadhog if her armor is now HP for a certain amount of time. Now, you wouldn't want this character to be able to do a million things. You wouldn't want it to be able to mark people and shoot at the same time, because things could get pretty crazy really quickly. And of course, there's also the counterplay. Well, what about some people that don't have armor, or if they have shields? Maybe if you target someone that has shields, they wouldn't be able to regen them as quickly. But in terms of people with HP, maybe that would be the skill, would be knowing the characters that you shouldn't target, because it effectively doesn't really do anything. We wouldn't want to stop people being able to heal, because then that's effectively anti-nade, and I don't think we need more of that in the game. You could also target barriers with this ability, I think. Maybe Reinhardt's barrier or anything that really regens, and that again would take longer to come back, of course within reason. Now, this is a healer character. It's still a support, and we want some healing in the game. And shout out to Kekon3 and Wings of Silver from our comments section last time, who came up between them some inspiration for us, which is drones. Now, we've talked about drones before. There's been heroes leaked in the lore and big leaks on 4chan and stuff where people have said that there's going to be a drone hero at some point, and it's something that people really seem to want, and we feel like this character could also have some form of harmony orb that Zen has, but by using drones. And instead of having one of these abilities, you would have a few, but of course they wouldn't heal as much. So imagine this, you want to play 3 DPS because Goats is smacking you around. Well, if you have 3 drones, you could give your Reaper, your Tracer, and your Genji a drone each. These would then maybe heal 15 HP per second. But say you've only got 2 flankers, you could maybe stack them healings on top of one of them, or maybe you give double healing to one and only singular on one. So maybe Genji would be getting 30 HP a second, and Tracer would be getting 15. This is, of course, at the same time that you're synergizing all your other abilities, so this comes more together as the video goes on, because you're targeting people while healing certain people as well. But I wouldn't want these drones to break line of sight necessarily like Zenyatta's does, but they would be destroyable. So if your Tracer goes on a flank, it will follow her and heal her anywhere on the map, but the enemy team will be able to shoot it and counterplay it that way. This could make for some really, really good counterplay, but it also would still remain situational based on the map, which was our biggest concern going into a concept like this. Now, in terms of a damage ability for this character, we don't want something going to be really strong, but say you've targeted a few people with your scanner and you've sent out a couple of drones. Your character still needs to be able to do something, and we think some kind of just damage source would be fine. We've come up with a burst rifle concept for this video. Maybe it could have something like reverse fall off. This is a defensive hero by nature. So what if you have a rifle that does more damage the further you are away? Of course it would be capped, but if it was a burst rifle, a 3 or a 4 shot, and maybe a max range it did 50 damage to the head, but of course it'd be really hard to hit because it's a burst at long range, you could quite easily balance that. So it wouldn't be a big piece of damage, but it would do enough to be able to whittle down something over time or just simply help your team out. And what I mean by reverse damage is because that damage is quite powerful but hard to control at long range, at close range it would be much easier to hit them headshots. So you would actually have the weapon do less damage at close range. Of course, you would have an aim down sight and a hip fire option. They would both probably do the same damage and rate of fire, but it'd be weaker up close in order to balance his character. And being a defensive character, of course, as well, we don't want to give any other escape options for this character. We want it to be situational, not overpowered. The only passive ability I think I would give to this character would actually be the ability to passively heal through your drones. So if you're healing a teammate, you've sent out all your drones, maybe you get 8 healing per second back per drone. So maybe you could do 24 healing per second on yourself while your drones are healing. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, that's more than Mercy does. Yes, but if your drones are actually not on someone that's being healed, maybe your drone's on someone that's at full health, you don't receive that passive healing for that drone. So it would always be on you to be doing multiple things. So you're always trying to tag people, get your drones out, do a little bit of damage, and then juggle these abilities the best that you can. Now, finally, of course, we have the ultimate ability, and we can't quite come up with an exact concept for this. Ed likes a kind of overhead view of the map where you could maybe target people. There's a few issues with this though. The first one is you're kind of a teammate down, and then if you make it so much better that that doesn't matter, maybe when you target someone from above, it flashes them or something like you might see in Call of Duty, it starts introducing a lot of different abilities that maybe suck. So you can go to the comments and let us know what you think about this. The most reasonable idea we have at the moment would be something like a drone swarm. This would be for big sustained fights. So you would pop drone swarm and it would give everyone on your team one of the drones that you would usually have. So everyone would be receiving let's say 20 healing per second. It's slightly better than one drone, and of course you would be receiving all of that healing yourself, so you can stay back and keep targeting enemies. So if you're still targeting that goat's comp from a distance while everyone has a drone on them, this would be really great in a sustained fight. Depending on the map, once again, do you have line of sight to counter that goat's comp? That's one thing we want. Keep it situational. So all your team are healing, way weaker than Transcendence, but maybe last longer, and you can still do all the other cool stuff that your hero can always do. So that's pretty much the entire concept out there for this scout hero. Let us know what you think to it. Finally, we do have a couple of ideas that we like but couldn't fit it into this. The Cake Craft came up with a pretty good idea in one of our videos, which was maybe a character that could somehow give their health pool to someone else. This is by no means a super original idea, but I don't think I've heard about it for Overwatch. Maybe when these characters give each other their health pools, they share it. So this character has 200 health, gives that to Tracer. Tracer has 350 health, but if that Tracer gets melted and dies, that 350 health is shared. Therefore, both characters would die. I really like this idea and think it could have some awesome implementation into the game. And also for today's concept, we were talking about the kind of flash idea. I don't think a flash is ever really going to work like it would in a game like CSGO, but maybe some kind of a smoke grenade could. Maybe you would put it down to skew the line of sights of the enemy team that are trying to set up in a death ball again. You could then pounce them really when you had an opportunity if you set it up right, or you could also use it to get out of certain situations. Some pretty good ideas, I think, there, but I really do like the Cake Craft idea of, here you go, here's more HP, but if you do that and you screw it up, we both die. Always love talking about this stuff, guys. I know I've not been around in recent months. I've been working on other projects of ours. You can always check out our live stream. I do stream nearly every single day still. I've been doing it for about 6 months. We have a lot of fun on there and play a lot of different games. It'll be in the description. Let us know your thoughts on anything we talked about in this video or any concepts that you have yourself. You can always DM your ideas to us on Twitter as well. Be sure to drop a like, guys, for me, because I'm finally back, kind of. How you all doing? Thanks for watching. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to hit that bell icon so that you get notified when our videos go live, and I'll see you all next time. Take care and peace, people.